I realized something a couple days ago. I don't care about Star Wars anymore. You know, there was a point in the theater during The Last Jedi. I got really, really angry. And I really wanted to walk out. Because, let me start by saying this. I really don't understand a lot of the social justice, criticism that people have about The Last Jedi because I didn't really notice it. People call Admiral Holdo Admiral Gender Studies. I didn't see it. I didn't. Princess Leia, she was a princess. In the beginning, she was a strong character, and Hunger Games has Katniss, Wonder Woman. It didn't mean anything to me that they shoehorned in a character who was female. A lot of people have said that the attempt was to shoehorn in a strong female character. To me, I don't really care about that. If that's the reason why the movie was bad or why Holdo was a bad character, maybe. But all that matters is Holdo was a bad character. There are shows like Game of Thrones has a lot of strong female characters. What's her name? Brianna? I can't remember the name, but she's like the bodyguard, Night King's protector woman. Yeah, that's cool. Doesn't mean anything to me that they made a strong woman character. She's a great character. It's a great show, and you've got a lot of characters in the show who are female, strong, and great. And I don't notice anything. I mean, oh god, I'm forgetting everyone's name because I haven't watched the show in so long. But the Queen of Dragons, Khaleesi, whatever her name is, strong female character, brutal, dragon fire, all that cool stuff. No one complains about her being like shoehorned or anything, right? I think what happens is that when you have a bad character, people assume it must be because it was, an SJW attempt. It was like a social justice attempt. No, I think they just wrote a bad character. It was entirely possible for them to write Admiral Holdo in a way that was acceptable and fine. My issue with that movie was that it was terrible, right? Okay, I've made a video complaining about it before, when the movie came out, but I want to talk about Star Wars being dead, so bear with me as I go through some of these points, but why would they go to that, Canto Bight planet, the gambling planet, not get the guy they came for, and then bring back some random guy? All the random guy did, DJ, to sell out the rebellion was point out the window. Seriously? Apparently, energy weapons arc in space. I don't understand how that works. Look, I can do mental gymnastics to try and figure out how this stuff works. One of the coolest things about Star Wars in the prequels was when they do those, they drop some, I think it was episode 2, they drop these bombs in space, and you see the flash, and then you wait. A few seconds later, you hear the explosion to simulate that light travels faster than sound. A lot of people think there's no sound in space, but I'm pretty sure there is. I think that might be a myth, or we may have updated our science. Regardless of whether or not it functions properly, you can see that in the past, they've tried to do things that felt consistent with the universe. To me, it seems like Star Wars is totally inconsistent. The new ones are inconsistent with their own rules. Why were the energy blasts from the one ship arcing in space? Why couldn't they just look out the window and see the rebellion? Why was the whole movie a slow speed space chase? Why could, hyperspace jumping destroy a ship? But there's a bunch of things about it I thought was bad, but ultimately I thought the writing was really, really bad. The one part that just killed it for me was when Finn is going to sacrifice himself to destroy the mini Death Star weapon, and Rose somehow goes faster than him, turns around and slams into him, and then says something to the effect of, "We're not going to win by destroying what we hate, but saving what we love." And I'm like, he wasn't killing anybody he hated. Finn was trying to destroy a weapon. He didn't hate the weapon. He didn't know anything about it. He was trying to protect the people in the cave. And to me, I was just like, oh my god, this movie's awful. And then I left. And I was really angry for a while. I liked The Force Awakens. I thought Rogue One was awesome. I did not see Solo. After The Last Jedi, I was angry about it. I talked about it. And then I kind of, realized the other day, dude, I'm not going to go see any more of those movies. I don't understand how I convey just how much The Last Jedi soured me on Star Wars as a franchise. And then you know what else it is too? It's Battlefront 2. If you're familiar, I bet there's probably a lot of people who have no idea what I'm talking about. But if you did, sorry if you left. Battlefront 2 with the loot box controversy. I used to play Battlefront all the time. I used to play I binged Knights of the Old Republic. That game was amazing. And Jedi Knight, amazing. And then there was Battlefront and Battlefront 2. Me and my friends would sit around all day just playing Battlefront on Xbox. Awesome. Battlefront 2 comes out, the new version. And they have the loot box controversy. And I was just like, dude, I'm not going to play it. Like, I'm not going to play a pay-to-win game, you know? I was excited for it, and then I started seeing videos of all the bugs and all the problems with it, and I was like, wow, this game's bad. Like, a bunch of videos came out showing that, like, the game didn't work, like the campaign mode. And then with the loot boxes, and they were like, we're getting rid of them. They temporarily got rid of them and brought them back. I was like, yeah, I'm not going to buy that game. Like, I don't play pay-to-win games. You know, I don't know if you guys play Destiny, but when they introduced the Eververse and the upgrades for the weapons and armor and stuff, you could pay to get those things. Like, you could buy them, sort of. You could buy the low-level upgrades and then, turn them into legendary upgrades. So it was essentially like you could skip some of the game by buying stuff. And that partly bummed me out. I think the game kind of screwed itself. But anyway, back to Star Wars. I was somebody was talking to me about what they're going to do for the next movie with Carrie Fisher having passed. And I was like, and I just went about my business. And then I stopped and I was like, whoa, I don't care. I was so excited for The Force Awakens, you know. I was excited for Rogue One. Man, I used to play these Star Wars games all the time, and I was super into it. And then I decided to Google search Star Wars is dead. And I found this article from ZDNet. It's from December. It says, Star Wars is dead, Gen Xers get over it. I can't believe it's already been, like 9 months since this came out. But there are a lot of people that are blaming it on social justice and saying, that it was them trying to diversify the genre, or like they say Rose Tico was a shoehorned diversity hire. I also don't agree with that. There's no reason that Rose Tico could not have been a good character just because she's an Asian female. Personally, I was really excited for the idea of Rose. Rey, being a female literally meant nothing to me. A lot of people were really like, oh, it's social justice, and I'm like, it's not social justice, man. It's bad writers. Something about, and maybe that is an aspect that people are talking about. So correct me if I'm wrong, but there are a lot of people that refer, like I mentioned, they talked about Admiral Holdo as Admiral Gender Studies, and I'm like, dude, I don't care who she is, what color she is, or anything like that. I just care that what she does makes sense, and it fits the story, and I felt like it didn't do that. I know one of the arguments is that in the attempt to shoehorn in new characters, it ends up, making the story bad, but you really can introduce new characters in a way that works. Rose didn't need to go on a camel adventure, because I went to Canto Bight and then they rode the camels with Finn. It didn't need to happen. She could have done something entirely different, and her character would have been amazing, right? I didn't understand why she attacked Finn in the first place. She knew he was a hero of the rebellion, and he could have just said, I'm on a secret mission, shh, and she would have been like, okay. Like, the writing just felt like it made no sense. And you know what? There's another point. I always bring this up, where Finn, I think it's Finn, Rose, and Poe, or whoever, they're on the destroyer, and there's stormtroopers everywhere, and then after the hyperspace jump, okay, and the ship gets cracked in half, it shows Finn again, and the stormtroopers are gone. And then Phasma, who is literally standing next to him, she's at the other end of the hall now. I'm like, dude, the continuity errors, the bad writing. The real problem, in my opinion, was, for one, J.J. Abrams stepping back and Rian Johnson coming in. Rian Johnson's an overt partisan on Twitter. It's really annoying. But there's something that I think needs to be pointed out. I'm not really going to read this article, sorry. Was particularly this quote, "Let the past die, kill it if you have to." What that says to me, I don't know what Rian Johnson or whoever wrote the script meant. I think it was Rian Johnson who wrote the script. I don't know what they meant by this. But what it said to me was that Rian Johnson does not care or like Star Wars. In fact, he wanted to ruin it on purpose. Okay? Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm sure he's proud to have been a part of this big movie. But when you include this quote, when this is like a key element, let the past die and kill it if you have to, it sounds to me like he was telling us something. Star Wars, stop, nostalgia, get over it. And he is killing the past with this movie. The plot made no sense. The story elements didn't fit the continuity of Star Wars. And to me, they killed it. They killed everything I loved about it. And so, there are some people saying the extended universe is the only true canon. And this, now Last Jedi, is like bad fan fiction. Sure, but, I mean, I'm not going to probably ever engage with Star Wars content again. I'm a big fan of Star Wars and Star Trek for different reasons. Star Wars is a space sci-fi fantasy hero's journey where, it starts with Luke Skywalker and he discovers that he's, the son of this great Jedi Knight. He trains and gradually becomes powerful. And then we have the prequels that show us this universe as it was intact. I thought the prequels were a little hokey, but I was a kid for the most part when they came out, so I really enjoyed them. Like Jar Jar Binks, I don't understand why people hated him so much. And I think it was because you had an older generation that was like, this is not what Star Wars is, and there was too much acrobatics, and the saber fights were all intense, and they were much, much less intense. There was much more chill in the original. And then you have The Force Awakens, which kind of rehashed A New Hope, which was okay to me. I didn't mind it. And introduced another hero's journey. Rey is this desert-dwelling scavenger, and it turns out she's going to go on this great adventure to become a great hero. And you had Finn, who escaped being a stormtrooper. I liked it. I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. It was sad to see, Han Solo die. And then Kylo Ren's like, oh, man. And I thought what was going to happen in The Last Jedi was that Rey and Kylo were going to switch. That was a big fan theory. That there was, in the trailer, they ordered Kylo to, fire on Leia. And he couldn't do it. And people were saying, like, oh, man, he can't do it. He's not going to be able to overcome that. Killing his father was probably too much for him. And he's going to turn back to the light side. And Rey is going to, dance with the dark side. And then I'm watching The Last Jedi, and I'm like, is it going to happen? Rey goes down and, looks in the dark tunnel and all that stuff, and, the mirror. And I thought, that would be so cool. Wow. That would subvert our expectations. It would flip the narrative on its head in such an exciting way. It's what blows my mind. People talk about how Star Wars The Last Jedi was supposed to, shake our expectations up. Change the narrative, not give us the same old, same old. And that's why people thought Kylo would flip, because that's not something we'd seen. Oh my God, how perfect that has been. Look, in the prequel, you had the good guy, Anakin, slowly become bad. The originals were about him being Darth Vader. He's bad. Imagine then if in the third series we get that inverted narrative where the bad guy turns back and becomes good. That would have been epic, and I thought that was going to happen. Instead, I have no idea what happened. I have no idea why Snoke died. The story made no sense, continuity errors, bad writing, and ultimately I was really angry at first, and then I just at some point stopped caring. And the reason I'm making this video is because I kind of realized it. It literally means nothing to me. And that was kind of like, wow, I used to love Star Wars a lot. Always making jokes about, lightsabers and the stupid, fake quote, Luke, I'm your father, which Darth Vader never said, but everyone thinks he said, probably because of, I think, the movie Black Sheep, where Chris Farley looks in the fan, he goes, Luke, I am your father, when actually he said, no, I am your father. But anyway, there was a point where I was excited for Knights of the Old Republic, back in the day. Battlefront 2 excited me, but then there's just been slip up after slip up, and now it's just, I just don't care anymore. I don't know. I'm not going to go see any more Star Wars movies. When Solo came out and everyone started complaining about it, I looked up the reviews and saw the reviews are actually okay. And a lot of people who didn't like The Last Jedi said the movie is actually a great popcorn flick. Don't expect the greatest thing in the world, but by all means go watch it. They talked about a Boba Fett movie, an Obi-Wan movie, and I didn't care. I felt literally nothing. And then when someone brought up to me the next movie, 9, and wondering what they're going to do, I just don't care. I'm not going to go see it. That's just me. Maybe they'll keep making billions of dollars. I don't know. Good on them if they do. By all means, wish everybody great success. But I guess this is me officially breaking up with Star Wars. I hope I can't say the same for Star Trek when they reboot the series with Patrick Stewart. I'm worried that they're going to Mark Hamill Patrick Stewart, right? What I mean by that is Mark Hamill had a bunch of kind of snarky side comments he made about Luke Skywalker being so dismal and upset. He talked about how this was the most enthusiastic character, and now all of a sudden you have this hermit. Hopefully when they bring back Patrick Stewart, they don't do the same. I don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening to this rant about science fiction and fantasy, and hopefully you all, I don't know if you like Star Wars, but cool, man, I got no beef. If friends pressure me into seeing it, I would. I'm not actively avoiding it. Like, the point I'm trying to make is that when the movie comes out, I really just have no interest. I'm looking forward to Fantastic Beasts. I'll go see that. I love Harry Potter. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. on the main channel.